You don't know what you don't know, and that is okay. Hi, my name is jjruescas, and today we're going to talk about the different types of knowledge. More than a decade ago, Donald Rumsfeld, former DoD Secretary of the US, coined something that he didn't know that it was going to have this kind of impact. While he was being interviewed by the press, he said, you guys know, well, there is something. You know the things that you don't know, and you know the things that you don't know, and you don't know the things that you don't know. Yeah, I know this is a tongue twist, right? But out of that, we can extract something that will allow us to create some kind of epistemic classification, which means a classification of knowledge. So let's talk about the Wrongful Matrix and why it's useful for us. Well, the Wrongful Matrix is composed by 4 quadrants. The first one, let's call it KK, that is the known knowns. So that means the things that you know, right? So you know how to speak English. That's the reason you and I are speaking like this. Or you know how to ride a bicycle or drive a car. You know those things. So KK is that one. Then the next one, the second quadrant, is the unknown knowns. Then the next quadrant is the known unknowns. Let's start with that one. So the known unknowns are, for example, even though I know how to speak English, I don't know how to write poems in English, or I don't know how to speak Cantonese or Mandarin, right? So those are things that I know that are out of my expertise. The third quadrant is what we would call the unknown knowns. That means things that are out of our radar, but we know at some point, not probably consciously, but we know it. So what do I mean by this? These are the intuitions. Also, in this same quadrant they live the cognitive biases. That's where they live, as well as our blind spots, things that are out of our sight, right? But we are able to somehow sense that they are there. Now, these 3 examples are minimal compared to the 4th quadrant, which is the unknown unknowns, the you. And those are the things that we have no remote idea that exist or that we are starting to discover. For example, how about the telomeres in the cells in the human cells, and how the telomeres determine the age of a person, for example. Those are things that we didn't know years ago and that recently we have discovered. Who knows, maybe there are an extraterrestrial species that is laughing at us for not seeing them in plain sight, or what we consider sight, but they are there. I'm just giving a silly example so that we can assess how big is the unknown unknowns group, okay? So why is it important for all of us? So we have talked about the known unknowns, the KKs, the known unknowns, the KUs, the UKs, which are the unknown knowns, and the UUs, unknown unknowns, right? For many people, it seems that we need to discover as much as we can. That means making these unknown unknowns as little as possible. But that is a race to nowhere, because the unknown unknowns are infinite compared to the finite amount of knowledge that we can possess in either of the other 3 quadrants. So the point here is just making sure that the known things that we possess are useful to help us navigate in any other situation. And at some point, if we're able to put the things from the second and the third quadrant into the first one, known knowns, then that means that we are constantly validating our knowledge, and we're trying to make our knowledge to face reality, or to get as close as possible as reality, knowing that the unknown unknowns are completely infinite. So let me know, what kind of quadrant do you live in the most? I'm super eager to discover that with you, and let's keep the conversation in the chat. See you.